If you're going to have a knee replacement or any surgery of the limb, it's not uncommon for surgeons to use a tourniquet, and a lot of patients have questions about whether or not that can lead to problems. So in today's video, I'm going to talk to you all about the tourniquets that we use during total knee replacement and other surgeries. So stick around. Well, hello and welcome back. I'm Adam Rosen, and if you have not already subscribed, please subscribe and click the like button so people like you can find information like this. In today's video, I'm going to talk about the tourniquet, which is frequently used in total knee replacement as well as any surgery of the limb, both upper and lower extremities. Now, historically, the first reported use of a tourniquet is around 600 BC by the Indian surgeon named Shushrata. It was more commonly used in reports by the Roman Empire from about 200 BC to 500 AC, but the first use on the battlefield, and this is where really tourniquets have become hugely important. This was by the French surgeon named Etienne Morel around 1674, and it comes from the French name or the French word tourner, which means to turn. Now, unfortunately, a lot of first responders now carry tourniquets, and I keep one in my car. Here in Southern California, there's been a number of shark attacks, and actually a lot of ocean swimmers carry a tourniquet with them. And unfortunately, with the more and more prevalent school and mass shootings, there are people in all walks of life that carry tourniquets around. But we frequently use these in the operating room. And the goal is to mainly reduce bleeding when we're doing a surgery. So some of the pros of using a tourniquet are that we have this bloodless field. If there's no bleeding, you can see better. And if you can see better, you can usually move more efficiently, and the overall surgical times are shorter. There are also studies that have shown that using a tourniquet can lead to lower blood loss during surgery. However, some studies have shown there's a rebound effect where you might have less surgery or less bleeding during surgery, but then after the tourniquet comes down and after, there can be more bleeding. The other thing specifically in the world of knee replacements is very commonly we cement or glue the implants to the bone. So having a bloodless dry field allows the cement to interdigitate better with the bone. Now, there are some downsides or cons to using a tourniquet for surgeries such as knee replacement, and studies have found that many patients might report increased pain because we're basically squeezing your thigh. So if you've ever had your blood pressure drawn, especially electronically by one of those machines, the doctor or nurse will always tell you that the first time it squeezes, it's going to squeeze really tight. Well, tourniquets are usually tighter than that. Many times you're under anesthesia. But if it's there for an hour or so, you're going to have pain when you wake up. Studies have even found that the quadricep muscle, that big muscle of your thigh, can be weakened or atrophy due to the use of the tourniquet. And other studies have found that when we use a tourniquet, it might increase the risk of a blood clot or a deep venous thrombosis in the leg. Some other studies have found that patients might develop a nerve injury, or what's called a neuropraxia. It's basically like smacking your funny bone and your fingers get a little tingly, but if we have the tourniquet on the thigh for very long, it can compress the nerves, and it might have those effects on the nerve that could last for a little while. Now, the other issue that we deal with in the knee replacement is something what we call patellofemoral tracking. So the way that the kneecap glides in the groove, one of the goals of surgery is to realign and restore that normal anatomy, or what we call kinematics. And some people believe that when the tourniquet is squeezing the thigh, that it can affect our ability to see how the kneecap tracks well. And lastly, what a lot of people will see is bruising and swelling. And a lot of patients might report a lot of bruising and swelling after surgery, and it may be due to the tourniquet use. Now, there are studies, like everything in medicine, there are studies that have looked at this, and many studies have found that when patients have knee replacements without the use of a tourniquet, that those patients report less pain. There are also studies that show that there may be less bruising or swelling, but that's one of those things that's hard to quantify in our literature or the studies, because usually the question is then asked, is the bruising or swelling as expected, better than expected, or less than expected? So there's a lot of vagueness in that when we look at clinical studies, but the majority of those studies at 6 months and 1 year have found no difference. Now, personally, for years, I predominantly use a tourniquet when I do a knee replacement. What I found is that it offers better visualization and there was less blood loss, and I can move more efficiently through the surgery. Now, I have also done many knee replacements without a tourniquet. And what I find is that when we first do the approach, like the surgical incision and the soft tissue release, um, we have to move a little bit slower and you have to coagulate every little tiny bleeder to prevent blood from filling up in the field. But interestingly enough, once we bend the knee up, there's almost like a natural tourniquet effect. And because the knee is then higher than the heart, there's very little bleeding during that surgery. Now, this is also important to work in conjunction with anesthesia because anesthesia have to do what we call hypotensive anesthesia because if the blood pressure is really high, the bleeding can get out of control. And that can lead to a longer surgery and that can lead to more blood loss. And to be more efficient, especially if you're not using a tourniquet, you need a good team. And this really has been impacted since the COVID epidemic when many people quit working in healthcare. And a lot of institutions are actually having staff that are less well trained than the teams that we had many years ago on a regular basis. The other issue that I find from a teaching aspect is that if we're trying to teach and there's a lot of blood, it's really hard to point out anatomic structures to a trainee and showing them what we're doing and why. And to be honest with you, that especially if you're working with a new team and then there's a lot of bleeding and you're trying to suction the blood out and dry the blood, it can get very frustrating. And you don't want a surgeon that's frustrated that might not have complete focus on the task at hand because they're trying to deal with all of this bleeding. Now, the other thing that I've done, and a lot of surgeons do this too, is what's called partial use of the tourniquet. So we start the surgery without the tourniquet, we control the bleeding, we do all the bone preparation, and then if we're cementing, what we then do is put the tourniquet up for the cementing portion of the surgery only. So it's up for a few minutes as opposed to the entire surgery. Now, what's ironic is that for many doctors that use the tourniquet on a regular basis, sometimes we get what's called a venous tourniquet. This is especially common in larger individuals that have a lot more soft tissue mass on their thigh. And when we get a venous tourniquet, there's a lot of bleeding, it's hard to see, and the treatment then is let the tourniquet down. So essentially, you're then doing a tourniquet-less surgery. Now, in reality, there are a lot of things that you can discuss with your surgeon, and in certain situations, the surgeon might do things based on your preference. You can talk about the use of a surgeon, and I think it's a worthwhile discussion to ask the surgeon, do you or do you not use a tourniquet? But in reality, if a surgeon always uses a tourniquet, they may not be comfortable doing it without a tourniquet just because you asked, but it is something that you can ask. And some surgeons that may have been on the fence and hearing about this because it has come back into vogue in these past few years, the idea of tourniquet-less total knee replacements, they might be willing to try it and then see how you do. Now, there are certain instances where I think not using a tourniquet is really important. And this is in the patients that have vascular disease. So if you've had arterial issues and maybe you had a stent placed on your upper thigh, it's not the best idea to put a tourniquet over that stent and compress it. So if you do have vascular issues and you've had stents or you have arterial issues and you have a vascular surgeon, I would strongly encourage you to talk about this with your vascular surgeon and make sure that they reach out to your orthopedic surgeon so they can discuss what would be the safest thing for you at the time of surgery. So again, whole lot of information about tourniquets, their use both during knee replacements and surgeries that are performed without tourniquets. And I hope that you've found this information exciting and interesting and maybe answered some of the questions that some of you have sent to me. And until next time, I'm Adam Rosen. Stay safe.